What's up guys, welcome back to another DIY video. This is part 2 of the BavSound speaker upgrade video series, and on the last video I showed you guys how to install ghost subwoofers on this 2023 M8 coupe, and today we're actually going to be installing the stage 1 speaker upgrade from BavSound on the rest of the car. So we're going to be removing door panels on the front, we're going to be pulling out panels in the back, as well as some speakers that are up on the actual front dash as well as the rear dash. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to do that in today's video. Okay, to get this party started here on this particular DIY, we're going to start here in the very back of the car. So this is the back dash. You'll see that there's a speaker here and a speaker there. So what I'm going to do is pull these grates up. I'm going to show you guys how to do that. You don't need to remove this back deck at all. It's just the actual speaker surround. So you'll see I've got some trim tools in there that I'll be using to pop the grate out. With that being said, I'm going to film from out here. So what I'm going to do here around the entire perimeter of this are little tabs. So you just need to find an edge just to get it started, and then you'll pop out each of the tabs. Alright, so as you guys can see, very simple to remove. There's just these little tabs that go all the way across. So if you start on one side and just kind of pry up a little bit with a trim tool, you'll be able to get your fingers in there and just kind of go around the entire perimeter, and you'll be able to pop all of these little tabs up. And just gotta be careful because it is plastic, so pretty easy to remove though. So after that, what you'll see is underneath, you'll see that we've got a mid-range and a tweeter. And so the tweeter is held on by 2 screws, and then the mid-range is held on by 3 screws. So all 5 of these screws that we're going to be removing are T25s. Alright, so we're going to start with this mid-range one here. Again, just 3 little screws, T25. So no need to remove, this back dash or anything like that. Pretty simple, and once again, having the toolkit really comes in handy because we don't have a lot of room here. So using this tiny little ratchet here, I can literally do this one-handed. And there's also not a lot of headroom in here, so I can't really get my face in here to really see what I'm doing, but so that's that. And all we need to do is actually pull the speaker up and out. And then there is a plug here that we just need to remove. Just grab it and squeeze it and pull it off. Just like that. And they come right off. So just protect your glass and don't lose the wires down in the hole there. Alright, and so when we're replacing, you'll see we grabbed this one here. This is the mid-range driver. We do have a pair of them here, as well as another pair over there. We also have this neodymium mid-range pair. This is for something else, so different part of the car. As you guys can tell, it's a little bit bigger than the stock one. So we're not using that one here. We're using the mid-range driver, and this is how it looks. Very, very similar. It should be the exact same size. And they are, however, they are heavier, and you'll see that it's got a bigger backside. So just to give you guys a comparison here, the backside, this is the BavSound. You can see the magnet's way bigger. It's significantly heavier versus the stock one here. So plug and play, which is fantastic. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing here and uninstall this tweeter because, as you guys saw, we had 2 of these wires that came off of the larger speaker here. One of these is actually fed to the tweeter, so the setup is a little bit different from the BavSound. So let's go ahead and unscrew this. We're going to reuse these screws as well. Okay. So this is really going to improve quite a bit because these are pretty chintzy speakers that we have here currently in the car. So we're going to go ahead and pull this speaker out, and you'll see that one wire is being fed back through here. So we just need to pull that guy out. I need to finagle it out of there a little bit. There we go. So we basically just need to get this side out of here. There's some foam in the way as well, so you guys just gotta navigate it around that. There we go. And it's out. Okay, so here's a comparison of the new BavSound rear tweeter versus the OEM one. And so, since we do have a bunch of tweeters, we want to make sure that we grab the box that says that it's the 25mm silk dome tweeter, because it comes with the whole housing here and all that. So, you want to make sure you grab this one, not one of the other ones. Here's a comparison. This one is quite a bit heftier feeling and heavier and more stout. So, super high quality, as you guys can tell, and completely plug and play. So let's go ahead and reinstall. So now what we can do is we can start putting this back in here. So need to figure out the orientation here. Your wire should go this direction. So what I'm going to do is kind of feed this one through here. Again, there's foam in the way here, so we gotta be mindful of that as well. And we do have lots of room here, so should be able to put it in pretty easily, just like that. And then I just like to take one of these screws here and screw it into place. Just do it by hand for a minute. I know it's hard to see. So there's a lot of space down in here as well. So, and then we'll take our mid-range. We need to orient it this way so the wires are facing the tweeter. But what I'm going to do first is plug everything in. So, blue wire to the blue wire. It only goes in one direction. Make sure it snaps into place. And then we'll take the black side to the black side from the tweeter. And same thing, this only goes in one direction. Clips in, then you can tuck all your wires in. And drop it all into place. Lots of room down in there, so. All right. And then we can do the same thing. Screw these in by hand a little bit, just to get it started. And then we can tighten them all down. Good thing is, these already have gaskets on them, so we don't need to worry about any of that. And we are screwing metal screws into plastic, so they don't need to be super crazy tight. Okay, just like that. And we can pop our little grate bag on, which takes about 3 seconds to do. We got this oriented the correct way. Push it all into place. This side is good to go. Alright, I know that was pretty hard to see, so I'm going to try to film this side since the process is the same. Hopefully you'll get a better shot over here. Okay, so we've got the rear deck speakers all wrapped up. Before I continue moving on into the rear and the door panels, I'm going to do the center speaker here in the front of the dash. So there's a center speaker right here. So we're going to pop out that grate and do that one. I know this is going to be a little bit difficult to see from pretty much all angles. So I'm going to try to show you guys what's going on, but basically same kind of idea as the back deck. So there's a speaker grate right here, little grill, and all we need to do is take a little pry tool that they provide and start on one little end here and kind of figure out, figure out where to go. And pry up on one side and then work our way around. Having a couple different tools helps as well. I also recommend using a little microfiber towel here just to protect some things. I don't scratch anything up if we can avoid it. Okay, so you just want to keep kind of working your way around this side and this side, and the towel helps. You can see that I was able to prop up all these little clips here, and it slides right out. So the grill itself has these two little tabs that slide in the back, and then you'll see on the other side here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these metal clips that go all the way around here. So highly recommend using a microfiber towel. That way you protect everything, protect all the leather. Just take your time, go slow. Everything looks nice and clean still. Didn't screw anything up, so we're good. So same idea here, a couple screws, 1, 2, 3 on the center channel here and the tweeter here as well. So there you guys can kind of see what the speaker looks like. It's a little bit hard to see here with all the glare, but there's your speakers right there. Alright, so I've got a T20 for these 3 screws right here. Kind of get it started. You don't have a lot of room here, so again, I would recommend either buying the kit or buying one of these little screwdrivers, because it's going to be a life changer for you guys if we're doing this install. Okay, so go ahead and remove 3 of these little screws. They're not in there super tight, so I like to use my fingers as much as I can. That way I can kind of feel what I'm doing, especially because you really don't want to drop the screw back here so you can avoid it. This one's a little bit less space, so there we go. Go. Pull up on it, and same kind of connections. You'll see these 2 blue wires. Go ahead and pull them off, disconnect. So one goes, powers the tweeter. There we go, pull it out. Alright, after that, next what you need to do is remove the 2 screws that hold the screen into place. So there's 2 Torx screws that go right down in here, and all you need to do is take the screen and gently pull up on it. This is also where a microfiber will come in handy, because you don't want to scratch anything up. So I like to put a microfiber here and just kind of tilt it down. You don't need to unplug it. Alright, so just to show you guys here how to remove the tweeter. So we don't need to remove anything else. This whole tweeter is actually sitting in this plastic housing right here. And so what we need to do is, as you guys can see, I've already gotten it out. So this is what the tweeter looks like. It's sitting inside of this plastic housing, which is just velcroed down onto the actual dash up there. So what you need to do is, in order to get to that, you'll see this white plug right here. So what we need to do is unplug that. So there's a tab on each side here. Just squeeze the tab, pull out, move it out of the way. kind of navigate your wires out of the way here. This is from the original speaker that we removed. And this plastic piece is literally sitting in here just like this. You take a plastic pry tool and just go right on the front of it. So just to show you guys what I mean here, take your pry tool just like this and kind of lift right here in this section. It'll free it from that felt piece, the sticky felt piece that's holding it into place. So it kind of will make a popping noise. It's like a tab basically holding it down into place. So lift it from here and then go around this side. Same thing, take your trim tool and prop it up on this side, and that'll free up this entire piece. It'll kind of just pop up like that, and then all you need to do is finagle it out, because this section here is actually underneath this white plug. So what you need to do is kind of, when that screw is removed, you kind of have some flexibility in the dash. You can kind of help pull it up a little bit and just finagle that piece out. Okay, so this is our single tweeter, 25mm single dome tweeter that we are replacing with. So I'm going to take that out. Very, very nice. So this is the stock one here. And so this is just being held in by a couple little plastic clips. So if you go around, you'll see there's a couple clips that go all the way around this speaker. All you need to do is take a flathead screwdriver and kind of prop up on it, and it will inevitably remove. You need to kind of prop and push out at the same time here. I don't have very good lighting here, so I apologize for that. Alright, so in combination with the flathead screwdriver and the little provided pick tool that BavSound gives you in the little kit here, I'm able to kind of pry up around the edges there. So you'll see that there are a couple tabs here that go around 1, 2, 3, 4. That holds the tweeter into place. So you've got to prop one side up basically, and then the remaining 3 will remove on its own. So that's what they look like there. So we'll take our new one here, take it out of the package, and this should just plop right into place. So our wiring is going to go on this side with this little channel here. So this is just going to prop right in and go this way with it. It's got a lot of slack. So just push it down until it clicks in, and that's how it's going to look. So much cleaner looking, more bulky, and it sounds great. So we're going to go ahead and put this back in the car. So the other thing I do want to mention before we put this back in the car, you'll see that there's a little bit of play here, just like the factory one has. This one's got a little bit more, but the tabs are holding it into place, obviously, like that. But there is a little bit of movement, and so they provide this little tube of glue here. So what we're going to do is open this up. We're going to use this on the back as well, so just want to put a little hole in it. And we're just going to put a little bit of glue down in all 4 of these corners just to keep it from moving around, just like that. So it's nice that they give you pretty much everything that you need in order to do this install. And the 4th one is over here. So this will eventually dry, and we can put it back into the car. So we want to keep this tube because we are going to use this on the back, but it's basically some adhesive there to help keep it from bouncing around. Alright, so once your tweeter is nice and dry, the glue, all you need to do is finagle this back into place. So like I said, if you keep this back screw out, you can kind of help prop this part of the plastic up and tuck it underneath. So as you can see, I've got one side of it tucked under, and now it's just gonna kind of pop into place. So I know it's very hard to see, but there's a tab back here, a tab right here, and a tab over here that this little mounting bracket needs to clip into place. So just make sure those are all down. They should snap in. Alright, so once you've got that into place, you can tuck your wire back in here. You can plug this white plug back in, kind of route your wires back over to where the mid-range is, because what we're going to do is plug this in. So we've got our 2 wires, one from the mid-range and one from the tweeter we'll plug in. and then we can go ahead and screw our new speaker in. And this is gonna be the same as the rear deck speakers, so you'll see that there's 2 wires out of the new BavSound speaker, so black into black and blue into blue. Tuck your wires in and go ahead and screw it down. This is how it should look when it's all said and done. So I've got all my screws back in here, all my wiring is all tucked into place, and I've got my screw back in here, so everything is all tightened down now. And it really does help to remove the screen here, otherwise you're not going to have any room to see or have any room for your hands. So I highly recommend doing this part. It just makes your life a lot easier. So now what we can do is plug this back into place, or not plug it back into place. So now what we can do is put this back into place. So just let it slide right back in, just like so. And then we'll go ahead and put our 2 screws in the back here to help secure it. And so there's a screw hole right here where my finger is, one there and one over here. So just go ahead and put those back in and the screen will be back into place. Now's the time to double, triple check that all of your screws are back into place. If you happen to take this one out up here, make sure that one's back in all the way around. So you just want to make sure everything's back in before you put your grate back on, and it should be good. When putting back your grill, just want to make sure that you slide these 3 tabs here at the top back up into that back of the dash there. Other than that, it's just a bunch of these little compression fitted tabs that hold this into place. So go ahead and put that back on. So if you guys can see here, you just want to slide those 3 tabs in and then prop it down and then go ahead and push on all the corners and it'll all pop back in. All right guys, so the center channel here is all completed. Everything's all buttoned back up. We didn't screw anything up or scratch anything, so we're good. We're gonna start moving on into the back seats and then we will complete the install with the front door panels. All right, moving on into the rear speakers. So we've got some speakers here. There's a mid and a tweeter on this side and on that side. So it's a little bit harder to do in a coupe because you don't have the extra doors, so you have to squeeze yourself in here and do it. But I've done it before, I did it on my E92, so same kind of concept here. What we need to do is remove the bottom of the seat. All you need to do is pull up on it real hard and the whole seat bottom will come out, because as you guys can see, these panels here actually tuck underneath a little bit, underneath the seat. So we need to be able to access all of it because there are tabs that go all the way around the entire panel and we need to yank it off in order to get to it. So, what I like to do is I just grab it right here, give it a good yank up, just like that, one on each side. This is the easiest part of the rear here, just like that, and it'll slide right out. It's super easy, just be careful, don't scratch your leather. All right, now that you've got that out, we eventually need to fold these seats down because same thing, the door panel slides kind of back behind here, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna loosen up this side first. So all you really need to do is kind of grab it here from the bottom, give it a tug. Just like that. And so this does slide into this footwell piece here, but we are able to slide it up and out. So once you get that piece, let's see. You're also battling against the seatbelt, so I would advise putting a seatbelt in just so it's out of your way. If you wanted to, you can remove this just to make your life a little easier. Slide it out. And we can kind of plug this one in too. And we can grab this, pull out just like that, pull out all the way across, and this is where we need to kind of release the back seat just to kind of finagle this out of here. Okay, so go ahead and remove your seatbelt here for a minute. Down and out. And now we should be able to pull this entire door panel out of here. All right, so you guys can see that I've got the door panel completely off. The only thing that's holding it really together is the wiring. So you'll see that there is that wire loom right there with the two blue plugs. So what we need to do is unplug it. So same thing as the other connections on all the other speakers. You just need to give it a little tug and it'll pop right out there. And then we can actually take the whole door panel out of the car. So just to make our lives a little bit easier, we could do it in the car, but since we are unscrewing the actual speaker there, it's just easier to pull the whole panel out. All right, once you've got the door panel out of the car, I recommend putting it on a blanket or something just to protect your leather and everything. Just be careful, take your time, and all we need to do now, you'll see that same thing, the tweeter feeds off of the mid-range, so the little wiring harness goes right there. Move that out of the way. We can go ahead and take our T20, remove these 3 screws, and the mid-range speaker will come right out. So just like that. It's already disconnected. That one's good to go. So I've got our new speaker here with our 3 screws. We're going to reuse the same screws. And then this one, same thing as the center channel. We just need to use a pick and pop this out. So this is a little easier to pop out. Use a little pick tool here, stick it in one of these little holes, give it a prop up, and that whole thing kind of pops out of there. So it's a little bit easier to do than the center channel, and we can go ahead and swap this one as well. All right, so we've got our new BavSound speaker here, the tweeter. Go ahead and take the twist tie off of it. And same thing, this is gonna kind of move around a little bit when it's in here. So, I mean, it's actually decently tight. There's a little bit of movement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this glue here, same thing, and I'm just going to put a little dab of it kind of all the way around, because I don't want this popping out. You see how it kind of pops out just a little bit like that? So I'm just going to put a little bit kind of down in here, in the cracks here. To make sure it doesn't come out or rattle or anything while the car is in motion. There we go. And then what we can do is move this out of the way, unpackage the mid-range. And then we can drop this one back in as well. You'll see that it already does have gaskets on it, so just make sure those are in place before you keep going here. So let's orient this the correct way, which is like that, like so. You'll see that we do have a lot of extra slack here, which is really helpful as well. And then go ahead and take your T20, and you can go ahead and screw this back into place. And I like to go kind of in a star pattern, just like you would with wheels and tires, because you just don't want to put too much tension on one side. So I do a little bit here, a little bit there, and then I tighten them all down kind of simultaneously. Just like so. So that one is good to go. And just want to make sure your connections are screwed in here, so, or clicked into place. So this one's going to go back into the factory harness over there. And these two are going to connect black and black, just like that. Make sure you hear it click. And then this one will be blue to blue on the inside. So we can kind of tuck these wires once we get back into the car. Okay, moving back into the car here. Let's see here. I'm gonna go this way. Be very careful. Navigate it in carefully, just so you don't scratch anything. We'll get it generally back where it needs to go, but you're gonna take some finagling to kind of tuck it back behind the seat. We're gonna have to probably lower that seat again, the seat back, flip it down, and put this panel back in. Before we go any further, I do want to mention a couple things here. If you happen to break one of these white clips here, you'll see that there's 3 of these, 1, 2, 3. Those will go into the actual car itself here. If you happen to break one of those, I would recommend buying a set of replacement ones. They're not very expensive. This one down here had a little crack in it, so I did replace one of those just with a new one. It was still usable, but the owner of this car actually gave me a pack of them to use, so figured might as well use it. So the other thing is we want to make sure we are plugging our wiring back in. So plug in the blue with the blue from the car and go ahead and make sure that's all in place. And then up here you'll see that there's these tabs up here. 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. There are metal clips on the actual window here that those will actually compression clip into. As you guys can see, I've got the door panel back into place. So you just gotta take your time, line up these 3 clips right here, line up your 4 on the top, click it all into place, and make sure everything's all plugged in. So that one is good to go. All right, so we're over here on the passenger side, same exact process. I'm gonna remove this panel here on the bottom, so what you saw in my last video, you can just give it a tug, just to make your life a little easier. Pull it out. Okay, then what we're gonna do here, we need to release these 3 tabs here, and we got 4 tabs here on the top. So these are the plastic ones, those are the metal ones, so I usually grab it right here. Give it a tug, just like that. Move the seatbelt out of the way. So we've released all these down here, and we need to release the 4 on the top, so give it another tug. Move your seat down and pop it out. Now we can go ahead and unplug it. Same thing, there's just the 2 plugs here. There's just the 1 plug there. We can pull this out. So when you're removing the panel, you really just need to unplug the main harness that goes to the car, because this one is going to the tweeter here. So we can do that now just to make our life a little easier rather than trying to struggle. So same thing, T20. Remove all 3 of these. We are reusing the screws. And then pop the speaker out just like that. Take our little pick tool here, insert. Pull this wire back first. And then we're going to insert the little pick tool here. Just kind of prop this up. There we go. Got it out. Swap in the new stuff. Okay, so we can go ahead and put our new stuff back in here. Just like so. And I am going to use a little bit of glue here just to maintain holding it in place, obviously. Let's see here. Go this way with it. I'm going to tuck this underneath here.
See how long this wire is too, so cut this all underneath here, out of the way, into the sound dampening stuff. Okay, just like so. And this one is going to go right just like that. Go ahead and put your screws back in. Okay, then what we're going to do, blue goes to the car, black goes to the black. And it plugs in one way here. Go ahead and maneuver this around. So we've got a lot of slack here. Tuck my wire underneath some of the sound dampening material. Nice out of the way, perfect. Now we can bring this back in the car, reconnect. Also, if for some reason when you remove these and your little clips are stuck in the door, just take your pick tool and pry them off the door. All right, carefully bring your door panel back in. Just like so. Make sure your seatbelt is out of the way. I'm just gonna bring it in here just enough for me to plug this harness in. It is the most important part here. Plug it in, nice and tight, and then put this back up so I can finagle it in here. And I like to kind of tuck the wire out of the way if I can. I don't want it to get pinched on anything. So. Alright, so we're good to go. Need to finagle this back into place. Alright, just so you guys can hopefully get a better sense of what I'm doing here. I've got the seat down, but I'm going to move it up for a second. But I'm going to try to finagle this back into place a little bit. Let's see here. Make sure your seatbelt is out of the way as well. And then just kind of tuck this all back in into its original spot. Nice and carefully. Okay. Move this up. Keep your seatbelt out of the way. There's that. And then when you've got this kind of lined up where it needs to go, you can kind of feel the clips that go in there. Give it a little love tap. Fix this gasket too. It's all lined up. And then the top, all four should click right into place. And that's it. So that's all plugged in, ready to go. It's nice and secure here. And all we need to do now is put our seat bottom back in. Alright, seat bottom. Seat bottom. Navigate it in carefully. So the only thing holding this in is right here, these little metal clips. They are compression fitted right here into these metal bars on the actual seat bottom. And the only other thing you need to do is navigate your seat belts in. You'll see also down here in the back, there's a couple of these blue bars. Those will actually also kind of snap into place a little bit. You just gotta tuck it in and then navigate your seat belts up first. One on each side, just like that. Nice, tucked in, and then give it a little push. Good to go. The whole back is now complete. We've got the rear deck speakers. We've got all the speakers here on the sides on each panel, seats back into place. Now our last step is finally the front door panels. Also, if you were to remove these, make sure you go ahead and put this panel back in too. So I would pull these little clips out with our little trim tool piece, like this, just like so. They pop right up very, very easily. And then what I would do is transfer these over to the actual door sill piece and then prop it back into place. Alright guys, so moving on to the final part of the install, which is door panels. There is a mid-range and a tweeter on each door panel here, and so the trickiest part here is really removing the actual door panel and the tweeter. So the door panel has 3 T20 screws. One is right here behind the door latch, so there's a little plastic cover on here that we need to remove. Additionally, we need to remove this piece here. So there's one plastic screw underneath here that is very difficult to remove without scratching up your leather. You gotta be really, really careful. So I do recommend using a microfiber towel for that, as well as some various trim tools. You gotta be really, really careful with getting this screw out. It's kind of difficult to do. So that's a plastic screw, and there's another 2 T20s. There's one here and one back here. So once you remove all 3 of those, plus the plastic screw, those 4 items, there are several white clips that go all the way around the perimeter, and a couple of those metal clips on the front, on the top here. So you kind of just need to yank the door panel off very carefully all the way around, and then that will release the actual door panel. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that. Okay, starting with the easiest part of the door panel to remove is this little cover up here. Just take your little plastic trim tool, be very careful about what you're poking at. You gotta kind of put it right through here, in between the plastic and kind of the speaker grate. Just like so. And you'll see that this little piece comes right off, so it's held on by a couple little clips here. So these 2 slide in, and this clips on. So after you remove that, there's a T20. Go ahead and take that one out. These are going to be the easiest things to do here so far. Just like so. So all 3 of the T20s are all the same size. So the next part is removing this plastic screw. It's right underneath here. It's not easy to get off, but I recommend using a microfiber and then a couple trim tools. I even have this little one that's a metal trim tool, part of my own collection. It's very thin here, but you got to be careful with metal against the leather because you don't want to scratching this. So what I like to do here is, for this, is I'm actually going to tuck my microfiber into the door panel right here, and then I'm going to take some painter's tape and tape my towel to the actual leather right here, because this is the section we're working on right here. So I'm going to be doing some prying to get this screw out, basically going to wedge this into the screw and pull down on it. Alright, so again, the screw's right here. So what I'm going to do is drape my towel like this and tape it right there. So I've got some painter's tape here. This shouldn't leave any marks or anything on the leather. If so, it's easily removable versus scratching up your leather, which is going to be permanent. So let's go like this. Another piece of tape here just to kind of help support it up here. So this tape doesn't really stick to leather all that well, but if you double, triple up on it, just like that, it's enough to provide at least a little bit of coverage. Protect us here.
the main thing. So I've gotten a light because I don't have very good light in this garage yet. And basically going to work here on the floor. So again, trim tool, and there's a little plastic screw underneath here, which I'll show you when I get it out. But so here's a better view of that plastic screw that I'm talking about. It's right here. So I'm basically going to be wedging my trim tool right around this, all the way around, until I can kind of release some pressure off the screw. All right, just so you can kind of see what I'm doing here, I'm kind of taking this tool here and I'm propping it in this little spot, kind of pulling it down a little bit. See, this is why you got to be careful with the leather, because it's very, very close to it. And if you slip, you might damage the leather. So I'm kind of going like this, as well as taking my other trim tool here and kind of wedging it on this side simultaneously. See how it slips off? I've got the microfiber there, and then it'll protect the leather a little bit. So I'm going to kind of keep going at it like that a little bit. So this is the plastic screw I'm talking about. There we go. Whew. That's the plastic screw. Not easy to get out. I mean, even with it off the car, it's very difficult to get it out. And you don't want to screw up the leather, so you gotta be very careful. Alright, once you get that off, next is down here, T20. It's a deep one, so kinda got a feel for it. There you go. The next one is right here. So those are the only things holding this on, and then we can give the door panel a tug. So what I generally like to do is start here on the bottom. Get yourself a trim tool. Let's see here, trim tool. Start here in one corner. Like that, just enough to get your hands back there. There we go. You get one popped and you're good to go. Just gotta go around and tug it. There we go. And up here, there we go. You gotta manhandle it sometimes. And then finally the top. So the only other thing you gotta worry about is this right here. So pull it off and then navigate that out. Just like that. And we didn't break a single clip. So as much as it looked like I was pulling on it, that's what you have to do in order to get it off. But I didn't break anything, so that's the good thing. And then I'm gonna put my trusty stool here just to prop this up, because I don't want to actually take the entire door panel off, because we've got locking mechanism and a lot of wires here. So I'm just going to kind of prop it like this and work on it like this. All right, so this is what the panel looks like. Again, we're not removing it completely off the door because I don't want to have to take this locking mechanism off and undo a bunch of stuff. So I'm going to work on it like this. There are 3 T20s right here for the mid-range speaker, and then the tweeters down here. The tweeter on here is pretty difficult to remove because it does have
BMW glues this into place, just like what we're doing with the BavSound stuff. So you have to remove the glue. There's some glue here on one side and probably one on the other over here that we have to kind of dig out in order to release the tweeter out of the enclosure. This one's super easy to do, but I'm going to start here on the tweeter. All right, so this is where your pick tool is going to come in handy. So I'm going to pull this kind of wiring out of the way here. I'm going to disconnect this one. So we aren't going to be using this blue wire anymore, but we do need to disconnect it. So just grab it here, right here on the top. Apart, just like so. So that'll come apart. And this wire we're not going to use anymore, so we can tuck this back into this little holder out of the way. And then this one here, we're going to take our pick tool and just kind of slowly pull the glue out of here. So this is a little bit time consuming because you got to release the glue and then pull the speaker out. Just take your time so you don't damage anything. So just to show you guys what I'm doing here, what I mean by the glue is there's glue here that I already dug out, and you'll see that there's glue on this side as well. So BMW glued it into place. That way it doesn't vibrate around. We're going to be doing the same thing. So I'm using my little chisel here, or my little pick, and I am basically digging out this glue in order to free up the speaker. So just do that, and then it's going to be the same as the other speakers, other tweeters. Use your pick tool here and kind of wedge it through, you know, one of these little bottom holes right here, maybe, or right here, and you'll eventually pop the speaker out. But this is the most time-consuming part about the door panels, is the tweeter removal and getting off the trim piece in order to get the door panel off. So I was able to prop up one side. As you can see, the glue is still holding a little bit, but there you go. Finally able to get that one out. All right, so now what we're going to be doing here is taking our new BavSound tweeter. I went ahead and tried to clean out some of the glue from BMW. Just be careful. I've already stabbed myself today working on this car, doing these door panels, so be careful. I went ahead and pulled out as much of the glue here as I could, just to kind of clean it up a little bit. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pop this in. So this pops in just like all the other ones, kind of clicks into place. And then we're actually going to run this down to the wire from the speaker. So we're gonna run this wire down to the new BavSound mid-range, because we've got that same two wires coming out of there. So this is no longer used because this is from the OEM tweeter, so we're not using that. So same thing here, I'm gonna take a little bit of glue, put some on the same kind of corners here just to hold this in place, just like BMW did. Okay, so we've got our glue on there. We're gonna let that dry for a little bit. And meanwhile, I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how to remove the speaker mid-range up here. So like I said, while this is drying, we're gonna go ahead and remove these here. So there's two plugs here. You just wanna unplug these. So one is gonna be the blue, white, and green. This is the same blue, white, and green as down here for the tweeter, so we're not going to use that anymore, but I'm going to show you guys what we're going to do. Or we're not using that anymore. I'm going to show you guys what to do exactly. And then this one here is for the mid-range. So go ahead and unplug those, and then take your T20, unscrew all three of these. 1, 2, 3. Put your screws aside. We're going to be reusing all these screws here. Take that, grab it, pull it right out.
Next step, before we install this, we're actually going to be putting on some of these gaskets. So your BavSound speakers do come with new gaskets just to optimize sound and remove any type of air gaps, that sort of thing. So as you can see here, the front of this one, the stock one, has this little ring here. We're going to go ahead and pull that off. And what we're going to do is we're going to take one of these, make sure you have it oriented correctly. So it's going to go on just like this. Make sure your holes all line up. But you'll see that on the back side is double-sided tape. So you want to remove this backing. And then we're going to go ahead and line this and stick this on. So your holes should all line up. I'm going to start here at the top. This is to ensure that we've got proper seal, with no air gaps or anything of that nature when we install. This will give us the most optimal sound quality. So go ahead and install that. There we go. This side. There we go. All right, so that's how it should look on the front. On the back side, you'll see that it already has a gasket on it. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to take our pick tool and we're going to pull this one out. The reason for that is because these speakers, certain model cars, especially in the F and G series models, you'll see that the wiring comes out of the back of the speaker versus the stock one comes out on the front side of the speaker. So what we need to do here, we're not able to mount this in the door panel and pull the wires through. So what we need to do here is pull this gasket out, and then what we're going to do is use this one that has a little slit in it. So this one's a little bit thicker as well. What we're going to do is put it on just like this, and it's going to have this slit. We're going to route our wires through there, through that little channel. So just take your pick tool and kind of pull up on it. It'll probably come off in a bunch of different pieces and chunks, so just take your time and go ahead and remove all of that. And so the reason why it comes this way is because these speakers, you know, if you've paid attention and watched all these videos so far, the installation process has several mid-range speakers in this car. Some are for the back, some are for the front. All the speakers are the same, they all look identical, so when they come from BavSound, this is how it comes. And so the front is a little bit different of an install process. So we have to remove the foam backing here, little gasket, just for the front speakers. The backs were all perfect. So this one has a little bit of modification, but you know, nothing crazy. So I'm going to try to get all this foam off of here real quick. So there we go. That's how it should look. So once again, we're going to take this new one here with the slit, and same thing, we're going to pull the backing off of here and put it on. So this is oriented only one direction. You're not going to be able to screw this up. So just line up your top hole first. That's what I like to do. And then you're just going to go all the way around and push it down. Line up your other holes here. And one here. So now you have this nice thick gasket, as you guys can see. Boom, done. And so with the wires, what we're gonna do is we're gonna tuck them down and around here, kind of fish it through this little cutout, one on each side, so it looks nice and neat. Okay, just like that. Give it a little bit of slack, so it's going to sit just like that. Now, we're also going to take, then finally we're going to take this other thin one here, and we're gonna put it right on top, and it's gonna hold this into place so it doesn't come out. So same kind of process as the front one. It's the same thickness as the front one. So take your backing off. Just like that.
And then we're gonna put it right on top of the other gasket that we just installed. Line up your holes here, make sure it all fits okay.
Boom, just like that. Okay, so now as you guys can see, the wires are not gonna come out. They're nice and tucked inside of here. And we've got this nice airtight seal, and it looks good. So let's bring this back to the door panel and we can go ahead and reinstall. Okay, back over here at the car. This gets oriented just like so. And go ahead and put your T20s back into place. They're not gonna feel like they're long enough, but they are. It'll start sucking it in through the foam pieces here. So just to get one started, and then we're gonna move on to this side. Same thing. And then number 3. So now we've got a really nice tight air seal. Okay, perfect. At this point, we are ready to plug stuff back in. So like I said, the wire down here, the blue, white, and green wire, we are not using. So this is from the old tweeter, which means up here, same thing. Blue, white, and red, or sorry, blue, white, and green wire we are not using. So go ahead and tuck this away, out of the way. You know, we're not gonna use that. So what we are gonna use is this one, which is brown, black, and red, I believe. And so we need to plug that one into the blue wire here. It only goes in one direction until it clicks in, just like that. And then we can tuck this wire up out of the way as well. You can zip tie these too if you want. And then on this side, this is the tweeter, black to black. Again, this only goes in one direction, just like so. And we are ready to put this door panel back on. I am gonna put a gasket here on this side, which I'll show you here in a second. All right, so now we're gonna take this 4-inch foam gasket here. We're gonna pull off the outside and we're gonna put it on right here, just like so. Just like that. That'll create a nice seal up against the door panel. So go ahead and remove the backing off of this. And then go ahead and put it right on top of the foam. There we go. Now we are officially ready to put the door panel back on. Putting this back on is easier than taking it off, in my opinion. Just need to line everything up. So this piece you could strap down if you wanted to. I just like to tuck it right into this little slot right here. And I know that it's out of the way. My wires are all out of the way. So just some little organization and we should be good to go. So now what you're gonna do is, we have all these clips up here, just like the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these metal clips up on the top. And then we have the plastic clips all the way around, the white ones, which are all intact, so I don't need to replace anything there. And we're good to go. So the only other thing is to make sure your little locking pin is up there. So I'm gonna thread that in to the hole first, just so I know we're in the right spot. Just like that, okay? And now we can kind of just put it back together. So I like to start at the top. Okay, start up here. Just like that. start at one side, kind of feel around for it. So it's pretty much in there. We just need to pound it in. Make sure you're lined up properly. There you go. Double check the bottom part. Make sure things are lined up before I hit it in. Okay, so this is all nice and intact. Just like so. All right, before we button everything back up and, you know, make sure the door panel is all back together, what I'm going to do is actually turn on the car and test the system, because I want to make sure that all the speakers are working and intact before I, you know, put it all back together and have to take it all back apart again. So it's a good time right now that all of the speakers are installed, to test it. I would not recommend testing one by one. Make sure you do the whole system first and then test it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that here off camera. I know a lot of you are probably wanting sound clips, but the problem with that is, you know, copyright strikes. You know, I've done previous videos with BavSound installs and ended up getting some copyright strikes on music that was being played, even non-copyright music. So I'm going to refrain from showing you. Plus, on video, you're not going to really be able to tell what the quality is anyway. So you're going to have to trust a lot of people's judgment on the quality of the sound. Alright guys, I just did a really quick test and it sounds amazing. It sounds really good when you turn it up, and this system is only going to get better as time goes on, because it does take about 12 hours of playtime in order to kind of break the speakers in, as well as the Ghost subwoofers. And so the bass isn't hitting super hard. I haven't played with any of the settings or anything yet, but I will tell you guys right now, right off the bat, I can tell you the quality of these speakers is phenomenal. It changes the entire system from the standard Harman Kardon system to the BavSound upgrade. Massive difference. It sounds so crisp and clean. Your highs seem much more clear and your lows seem much more bassy as well. So highly recommend it. I think this is a game changer for this car, as well as many other BMW and Mini options. So definitely check out BavSound.com if you're interested in buying a set. With that being said, I am going to wrap up the install here. We're gonna go ahead and put this panel back on. Like I said, the door panel's all in place. It's all clipped in. I just need to put all three of my T20s back in, as well as this trim piece with the plastic screw. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, once again, T20s going all the way back in here. So it's really good to make sure all your speakers are all functional and everything before you start putting everything back. Obviously the back, I just had to trust that it was all correct. That was an easy uninstall. If something were to not work, that's an easier uninstall versus a door panel. So, but fortunately, all of the speakers work. I can hear all of the mids working and all of the tweeters working. So, and then I obviously checked the Ghost subwoofers as well before we even started this install on the speaker system, and it all sounded really great. So, super pleased with the way this has turned out so far. All right, when you've got all three of those in, go ahead and put this piece back in. Slides in, pops into place. Very simple. And then the bottom one here, same thing. Clips all the way across that go into these metal clips here. And then this one screw that goes up inside of there. So it might be easier to take this out if I can. As you guys can see here, the screw gets pretty chewed up. It's one of these stupid plastic screws with a lot of little threads on them. pretty much can't get it out without destroying it a little bit, so I was able to get it out of there, but I think it'll make it easier going back in if you take it out of the trim piece, if you took it off like I did. So go ahead and reinstall this. Make sure you line it all up properly. You get it lined up, you can smack it in place. Take your trim piece, or take your little plastic screw here, and push it back in. It's so much easier coming out than it is, or going back in than it is coming out. So this is all intact and up into place. This door panel is officially done. I'll wipe off my fingerprints. And we're good to go. All right guys, the install is officially a wrap on the Stage 1 sound system from BavSound, as well as the Ghost underseat subwoofers. This is a complete game changer, especially if you're coming from like a standard hi-fi system. Again, this is my 4th car, I believe, that I've done an install for BavSound, and so the guys are super awesome to work with. Great customer service. Their installation videos are extremely helpful as well. This is going to be a new one because I don't think they've got an M8 or an 8 series yet on their install series. So hopefully this is helpful for all of you 8 series guys and M8 guys who are looking to do an upgrade. You know, maybe if you didn't do the Bowers and Wilkins system and you've got the standard Harman Kardon system, this is going to be a really nice upgrade. Again, it's going to take about 12 hours in order for it to kind of break in, so it's only going to get better as time goes on. And that is also speaking from my personal experience with my E92 M3. When I upgraded from the standard hi-fi to the BavSound system, it only got better as time went on, and it sounded super crisp, super clean, and the bass started to hit really, really hard. So I'm excited for our customer here to get his car back and kind of let me know what his feedback is over time, because I think it's just gonna keep getting better and better, and he's gonna really enjoy his listening experience when he's in the car. One other thing, if you are considering buying the installation hardware kit from BavSound with your speakers, I highly recommend this because I didn't have this kit on my first 3 installs from BavSound, and this is a complete game changer. It gives you everything that you would possibly need in order to do this install on your own. I have nothing but fantastic things to say about the guys over at BavSound. Huge thanks to them, and huge shout out to them for sending over this care package and getting this M8 competition sorted. Again, 2023 M8 competition, BavSound Stage 1 speaker upgrade, as well as the Ghost underseat subwoofers. Huge game changer. And if you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns about the install process or anything at all, please let me know in the comments below. Stay tuned for more, because BavSound is actually going to be sending out a care package for this right here, which is a 2002 BMW E46 M3. So we're going to be doing a sound system upgrade on this car, as well as a 2007, I believe, E90 328i. So be on the lookout for those videos coming soon. Otherwise, we'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. Stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching.